Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for coming for another great podcast. Remember to subscribe, hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends, and love to leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Mindset is such a huge thing today. We are struggling with depression, anxiety, fear. All this stuff is overcoming adults, teenagers, young adults, children. And how do we get over this? How do we get to the next phase of our life? How do you figure out the great mindset, the attitude? So many people say it's like, well, I don't know how to get to the next step. The next step really is to change your attitude and your mindset. So we have a specialist here with us today, whether it's figuring out to get that income flowing to you, to find that great job, to make a better life for yourself. So Michelle Boulé is with us today, and she has been doing this, and she's an expert and going to share her expertise with us to get us ahead of that game and be where we want to be. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Michelle, tell us a little bit about you and your background and how you got into this space.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I have been dancing for 40 years of my life as of this year. So, when I hear you do that intro around mindset, like I love that work. And what I love just as much and even more is embodiment. And I think, because of my background in dance, I started dancing when I was around 5 years old. I danced until I was 16, and I got pretty significantly injured and was told I wasn't going to be able, I didn't have the right body for it, structure, all of that. But lo and behold, I ended up at a university that I had no idea had an excellent dance program. I retrained my body. I totally nerded out on somatics, just understanding how the body functions. Within a week after graduating, I was in New York City with a dance job and went on to live there for 21 years and have an international award-winning career in dance. So and all the while, I always loved teaching. And as I went through my own injuries and disappointments, I was given the amazing opportunity to learn more about how the body works. So first, it started with somatics and physical things, how that connects to our emotions, how that connects to our thoughts. And then also in 2008, I got certified in an energy medicine modality called bodytalk. So that was working totally in the level of mindset and consciousness to shift everything physical. And eventually, of course, I've been teaching, for 25, 30 years now. And it naturally just led itself into coaching. And I love watching people step into and live into their fullest potential.
Well, tell us a little bit. Well, I was a dancer too, and they told me, I didn't have the right body and all that stuff too. So I get that. So tell us, what is energy psychology and consciousness-based healing? Because a lot of us don't know what that is or have any idea what that is.
Yeah, what I as you ask me that question, I'm like, gosh, can I even say what this is? But essentially everything is energy, everything is frequency, and if you look at science, some of the research that's been done for quite a while now, we're 99.99999% energy and 0.00001% matter. We've been trying to change matter with matter. So it was fascinating to me, the way it happened, the way I was introduced to, really extensive energy work was I sprained my ankle at the start of a rehearsal at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And I went to see a body talk practitioner, and she didn't even touch my ankle. And I walked out of there and my ankle felt better. And I was like, what is this? I need to understand what this is. And within about 6 months, I was certified. Like, that's how, passionate I got about this. I just knew there was something there that was something I needed to know. And, it turns out something that I've been helping other people to uncover in themselves. Like, we have so much potential. And when we can tap into the source of what actually creates our physical realities, change can happen at a much faster pace. Like, this woman did not have to go in and do a chiropractic adjustment or massage my ankle or ice it or anything. So that then opened the door. And I was like, just what is this? I need to know more about this.
Yeah, you say body talk access. Is that like people have heard of Reiki? Is that kind of a thing? Or tell us a little bit about the energy or what the work or that's involved in body talk access. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, so it's a similar, it's energy work, but what I found just in having studied so many different modalities prior to that was this system was so comprehensive. And what it essentially was doing was using all this, the man who invented it, Dr. John Veltheim, like had the genius to make a system that could bring in each practitioner's unique knowledge. And what it does is it actually brings connection back to where connection is broken down, because whenever we get stressed or experience trauma, or we go into, fight or flight over a repeated amount of time, the communication systems break down. So essentially through muscle testing, through like simple tapping on the body, we can bring these things back into connection and healing, and growth can happen at a whole other rate. It's amazing.
Can you do this to yourself, or do you have to have someone facilitate it for you?
It's so funny. I was surprised we're going down this route.
I know I am too. It just all started.
There is something called body talk access, which is 6 or 7 techniques you can learn to do on yourself.
Mhm.
But otherwise, if you're wanting some deeper transformation, it's helpful to go to a practitioner. And I use this tool still, like that was my practice for a long time. It was just working with clients one-on-one through body talk. And then I found out, we're making changes, but I need to bring in that mindset piece so they understand how they need to start thinking going forward. And then over time, the last 25 plus years of teaching dance and movement, I developed a movement practice called Moving with Innate Wisdom, which is inspired by the body talk practice and all the healing work that I've done, where a person gets to be in their body and explore their potential. And it's amazing because, I've mostly been around dancers, but I will have someone come in who's not a dancer at all. And, in this monthly program where we do movement twice a month, the person will say, that was the most powerful part of the whole session, that 18 minutes of movement that we did. Because you're with your body, you're with permission, and that ability to open up to more of your potential and more of your expression. And I feel like one of the biggest problems we have is that we've all learned how to shut down our expression.
Mhm.
So, if I can be a champion for a person to feel what they need to feel, to take the cap off of their own potential for joy and excitement, or even to feel sadness and pain, right? Like it's so important to be able to feel that, to then be able to create the thing that's on the other side. So I'm a big feeler, and I support, people doing that through their body, through their mindset, through their spirituality, through consciousness.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because I think, a lot of times I danced in high school too. And, I put my kids in dance, but every once in a while you'll dance to a song, but you don't really allow yourself that time and energy to do what you just talked about, which is to move your body and to feel, right? To feel whatever that is. So I actually did that a couple weekends ago with a little event that I attended, and they did like a 20-minute where you just kind of create a movement and just do your thing. And it was amazing how like the therapy that was, right? Like you're not really in your head because you're not really thinking about anything. You're just moving and you're just, enjoying your body and feeling flow. And it was really cool.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it does. I often say when I'm leading that practice, just be present with, whatever comes up. And, I encourage people, I'm like, if you're making crazy sounds right now, we're doing it on Zoom, just, it doesn't matter. If you need to lie, sometimes people fall asleep because that's what their innate wisdom is telling them to do. And then they wake up and the energy is there. So, the point is we all have this wisdom that we always have access to. And the more you spend time with it, the more you develop your intuition, the more you realize what you truly want, which I feel is deeply connected to who we are. And if a person can go through a journey and be supported in a journey of discovering who they are, I think joy is guaranteed, because that's part of our birthright.
So let's make a little shift here. Everyone's concerned about money and wants to have, trying to have more wealth and more financial freedom. How do you create that with your mindset? What's the shift you have to make in your mindset? And you talk about act as if. So talk about that.
It's interesting because when I hear you say everyone is concerned about money, there's fear in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what is that? So that the consciousness or the intention behind that thought is fear.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe, the energy that we have access to is completely deductive in nature. So it will only create more of that fear. And it's the craziest thing, you know, sometimes to say to someone, act as if, or, you know, be in gratitude that the money is here. But the thing that's amazing is a person will hit a point where the money doesn't show up, and it doesn't show up again, and it doesn't show up again. And, you know, it's like, okay, just one more try, one more week, one more month, sometimes one more year. You know, if you have that time, like I didn't reach a goal one year, and it took me a full year, then the whole next year to reach that goal, financial goal, you know. So I think it's just, it's coming into an energy of gratitude, really, really, really believing that it's here, doing like, being in practices that remind you of abundance. Like when I first started making shifts in my own prosperity, I would literally walk around. I was still dancing a lot and touring around the world. And I would walk around, I'm looking out my window and I see these lilacs in full bloom. I would just be like, there's so much abundance in the world. Right. So then I'm staying in that state of being in that vibration. And then like, here comes a client, here comes another client. Here, you know, I booked myself. I remember my coach at the time, I wanted to book myself this vacation to Greece. And I was like, well, you know, it's not that practical. I have to take another flight, another boat. I'll still be in Europe another week. And this person was like, Michelle, if all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, what would you do? And I was like, I'd go to Greece, you know? And so I booked the trip. And of course, on the first day, we're in the room together. I was doing a yoga retreat, and someone comes up to me and they're like, Michelle Boulé. And I was like, oh, where did we meet? And we had met actually the year prior in Stockholm. And then this woman invited me to do some work with her in Finland. It just, that way that your desire leads you to the next thing that's going to bring more joy and harmony in your life. So it's, you know, it's an act of faith and trust, and just like one more breath, one more minute, one more week, stay in that vibration and it will come.
I love that, how you have the flow and the energy of the mindset, because I think a lot of times our mindset, we do get in that like scarcity mindset, or we get in that I can't do it kind of mode. So to get your mindset right and to figure that out, how do you do that if you're feeling like a slump? Like, how do you get yourself and pull yourself out of that with your mindset?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to take care of our hearts first. You know, like what does your heart need right now? Because I think sometimes when we're in that problem, when we try to go in there with our mind, we're still in that fear, right? Like, so mindset, we could say, believe it's here. But then I feel like, you know, a lot of times what I have to work on with clients is helping them see that they're worthy of this, helping them see that those stories that they picked up as a kid, that they weren't good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, weren't worth the attention. You know, if they had busy parents or maybe even abusive parents, those imprints can last a lifetime. And I think the beautiful thing about becoming an entrepreneur, growing into your leadership or your fullest potential, is what I have found with my own success and with my clients' successes is that you get an opportunity to heal those wounds, you know. And the beautiful thing about that is I know from being in, you know, energy work and whatnot, that heals generations forwards and backwards. It heals every person you come into contact with. And, you know, it's even in the way that we're connected in the world now, just growing my own business and being able to share more abundantly. I had someone from Lebanon send me a message, and he said, I've raised my prices. I'm teaching so much more than I've wanted to. I know someday we're going to meet. You know, this guy has not paid me a cent, but just to see him doing his work in beauty and abundance and in service is, I mean, for me, that's worth everything.
That's awesome. Now, what about if, you know, we have to make decisions in our life every day? Should we work with that client? Should we buy this coaching program? Should we add this to our services? What should we do? Even with our kids and our family and all these choices, is there like some kind of formula or something we should be asking ourselves when we're making decisions, especially important ones for personal and business, that we're coming from a place of prosperity?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's a similar thing here. I believe, and this is part of what, you know, doing the energy work and the movement practice that I've developed called Moving with Innate Wisdom. we all have a knowing inside of us, and we all have a guidance system. This is even from like, what's it called? Applied kinesiology. If anyone's familiar with that, like your body knows this is leading you towards more life and expansion. This is shutting things down. So we all have that sensitivity. So I encourage people to get out of their minds about it. Don't make a list of like pros and cons, because then you're just in your mind and you're just in duality. And there's a space beyond that, again, like connected to your heart knowing, where we know. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense, you know, and I do believe we all have this access to intuition. So we have that voice, but then we do have the voice of like other people's thoughts, right? And that's when I see a person being like, well, should I do this? Like that? And what we're thinking is, what's everyone else going to think? So then we're not guided by our own system. So for me, for decision making, and what I encourage my client, well, here's the question: what do you want? Like truly, 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 what do you want? And I remember my coach taking me through this at one point. And I was thinking about whether or not to continue with a program. And he saw me go into the back and forth. He's like, Michelle, you're in your head again. What do you want? Like, to learn to trust that, I think, is one of the most powerful tools we have access to.
I even want to take it like a step further, like asking that question, what do I want? Is this leading me towards what I want? Or is this going to lead me away from what I want? Or is this going to, because every time you say yes, you're saying no to something else, right? You only have room, you have room for so much, right? So if you take a certain opportunity, you may not have room for another opportunity. So always, I love that. Is this what I want? Is this leading me towards what I want? Is it leading me towards my goals? Or is it taking me away? Or is it going to slow me down because I won't have space for a bigger opportunity or a different opportunity that comes in?
Yeah. And I think just like continuing to remove the fear, you know, because it's like, drop the FOMO, you know, and I think we can feel that vibrationally. So I always start with, what do you want first and foremost? If that's a yes, then ask, is this leading me towards my larger vision? And there's an importance in that order too, of asking those questions, because a person can be, I just don't want this. Great. Drop it. Don't even ask if it's leading towards your vision. Because I think that's that developing that listening and that trust to the knowing that only each individual knows for themselves.
And I think in having that faith in yourself, because a lot of times people double ask themselves or double guess, like what their you said intuition. It's like, well, my intuition says this, and then they double guess. Oh no, is that really what I'm thinking? You know, is that really what I feel? But asking that question, that final question, or that first question, I should say, of what is it that you want? Is this going to get me to what I want? I think that's really good. David Nagel is your mentor. We actually interviewed him on our podcast as well. So you might want to go back and listen to that if you're listening to this, and you can listen to David's podcast as well.
All right. So now we're going to ask you, since we're in the publishing business, we're going to ask you that question. You don't have a book yet. So if you were to write a book tomorrow, what would you want the title of the book to be?
So if I were to write it tomorrow, I would listen to what might come up between now and tomorrow. But the thing I've been thinking about for a long time is containers for creativity, because I, as a creative person, as an artist, first and foremost, I know the value of that space. And I know the thing that we as humans have beyond, the other animal and plant species, is that we create. And we can use that power to make something beautiful. And I know one of the tools that I bring into working with my clients too, is to help them access their creativity. In that space, if I could say it like this, that's beyond like our industrial age programming, right? Do this, do this, do this, do this. Like, how do we bring in your creativity? And this is a phrase I use a lot, like, can you make your life a dance? Can you make your life a song? So because, being exposed to some of the most incredible artists throughout my dance career, in music, in visual art, one of the things that I admire most is when a person's whole life is their artistic practice, and we have that potential to design that, whether you are a mom or a business owner or an artist. I think when people tap into that, they feel a sense of agency, They feel a sense of bringing vibrancy and vitality. I actually met a lawyer last week, and she said, I just asked her this question. She was telling me about a case that she had done. And I was like, did you like dressing up for it? And she was like, that was my favorite part. Like she was like, because she also had like a background in performing. And she was like, I love putting the outfit together. It's like going on stage, so there's something creative in that. And then also the basis of creativity is to create more life. And that's what this whole, planet is doing. It's always in the creation of life. So when a person can tap into that and they can find these little tools to make their life a dance, make their life a song, a poem, whatever. Again, I think we bring a different level of inspiration and vitality and connection and meaning to what we do.
All right, here's a tough question, maybe a tough question for you. Someone has just read your book. You gave such beautiful description of what it is. I think it was very helpful and helped people tune into that. I just read your book, and in 2 sentences, what would I say how it changed my life? Or what I got from it?
Okay, I love this question. The person would say, I didn't realize how creative I am, and I didn't realize just how much I could be in love with life.
Oh, beautiful. Great job. Great job.
Thanks.
I love that. Michelle, tell people where they can go to find more information about you and to hire you to help get their mindset where it needs to be.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can go to michelleboulé.com. That's Michelle, Boulé, B for boy, OULE.com. And on there, I do have a couple free downloads, which is a great way to connect and just get more familiar with my work. So sign up to get one of those. You can email me, follow me on Instagram. It's michelle.boulé. And I'm more than happy to have a conversation with someone if any of this resonates.
Beautiful. Thanks for coming today. And remember, if you're thinking about writing a book, we make all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We guarantee it. Elite Online Publishing, go there and hit the submission button and see if we're a great fit for you or not. We'll see you next time. Remember to subscribe and have a fantastic week, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.